On this week's City Skylines 2 o'clock, Igor, bringer or maker of maps? Cities Skylines 2 Map Size for Dummies? When is a theme not a theme? And are we missing any franchise opportunities? All this with this week's special guest, This Old Gamer.
Well, hello, BonBon. Thanks for having me back on the program. I'm absolutely thrilled to have each and every one of you for the ride today. I'm looking forward to this one.
Have you had a very good week?
It's been a very fun week at work. I've just been having an absolute blast, and that is a complete fabrication.
Well, I've had a lot of fun because this week was Dev Diary Maps and Themes Week, and I have been so hyped for it. Got to say, it was a little bit underwhelming in the end, but we'll cover the main points today. One of the things that did pop up this week was my new hero. My new hero popped up in the Insights video, Igor Oleknovits. I hopefully got that something like right. We can assume that he's Polish, and that's just from his name. And we also know that he's been with Colossal Order for over 8 years. Now, in the video, he's captioned as being map design. Thus, you could expect him to be very hands-on in all things like erosion and river creation and so forth. But actually, it doesn't seem that he's in map design directly. He's actually Colossal Order's outsourcing manager, responsible for overseeing external teams and ensuring that they're delivering the work that meets the Colossal Order standards. So my question, given the very little that we've learned about him so far, is he really just me, but on the big bucks?
Oh, man. Well, I mean, nobody is you, BonBonB, but I mean, it's kind of strange. It's kind of like mixed messages about his exact title with the company. I mean, it's kind of like the equivalent of the janitor being in charge of sound design. I'm not really sure exactly what all that entails, but it sounds important. I don't know. I mean, if you were in this position, I mean, how would you handle such a role?
Well, that's a very good question. I mean, I wouldn't. First of all, I don't personally know whether or not he's obviously got some sort of skills in a map editor. He's not just an office dude. He's been in gaming for a long while. But yes, he clearly a lot of the work is being outsourced, and maybe that's to some names that we know, or maybe it's just to people who are into map game editing. From what I've seen from the maps so far, first of all, they're big. The general terrain shapes are, at the very least, interesting. Some of them, I think, are more interesting than others. I think the one thing they should be looking on at this point, because they're running, not say running out of time, but they're getting a little short of time, is with the work of the foliage in the maps. The range of foliage in the maps, the tree painting, we have seen plenty of drowned trees as well. So the actual terrain shapes seem really good at this point, even if you don't, whether or not you like the map designs is a different story. They look pretty nicely polished, but I think they should do a lot of work with the trees. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does answer my question, and yes, I have seen those trees, as you say, they got their trunks on. But yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. I think a lot of the videos we've seen, some of the terrain, like the mountainsides and stuff like that, look fantastic, and there's a little opportunity. But I think a lot of that might have been early B-roll footage, I guess you could say. So.
It could well be, yeah. So anyway, now if we go on to the next point of order for today, which is the ongoing and still not completely answered question of map size. Now, much of the confusion of this, as I can see it, is from Colossal Order using the word map to describe the buildable area, while we refer to the word map meaning the entire terrain, whether accessible or not. So I know it's going to sound a whole bunch of numbers again, but there are going to be graphics on the screen for everybody else to follow along with. So if it's the first time you've seen this, hopefully I'm going to keep this as simple as I can. Okay, so we were all of us expecting something a lot larger than we've been shown so far. But from the fleeting views that we've seen, the map is actually pretty big. We don't have a feeling at this point for Cities Skylines 2 maps, but we do all have a really good understanding of Cities Skylines 1's maps. So using only very approximate Cities Skylines 1 measures, let me clear up what we know exactly at this point. So first of all, the start square. The start square is going to be roughly about the same size, so roughly one tile in current terms. But of course it won't be one single tile, but it'll be 9 small tiles which we will jigsaw together in whatever shape that we like, maybe even not even connected with each other. So moving up from the start square, in Cities Skylines 1, the base game's maximum buildable area was 9 tiles, which in Cities Skylines 2 will be the equivalent of 49 tiles, which is an increase of basically a 3x3 going up to a 7x7, which is about 5 times more buildable space as they claim. So the claim is good and true. The total unmodded unlockable area in Cities Skylines 1 is 25 tiles. We all know that. That is the maximum that you can, in theory, build upon. So 5x5. In Cities Skylines 2, it is the same as I mentioned before, so 7x7, or jiggly-piggly of that. But there's an extra 1 tile on top of it, or just over an extra 1 tile on top of it. So it's 7x7 and an extra tile. But it's still square, okay? But finally, using mods in Cities Skylines 1, we know that the entire map is 9x9 or 81 tiles. In Cities Skylines 2, from what we have seen so far, and we haven't seen any hard edges yet, so it's going to probably be even bigger than this. It looks like it's going to be at least 20x20 Cities Skylines 1 tiles, which is much bigger. So when people say it's smaller, they're ignoring the untouchable areas, the unlockable areas, which may become unlockable later. Who knows? Modders will work their magic. So, but whether they ever will is the question for the modders to answer, not me. So anyway, a lot of people got very angry and very lots of muttering about the map being smaller. What are your take on why people might feel this way?
Well, people like to mutter. The form of muttering is very popular in the year 2023. And I think that bigger is not always better, and people think bigger is obviously the next step in a lot of things. You make a sequel to a game, it's got to be bigger, badder, better. It's got to be a certain, people have this certain idea in their minds. But like I've been saying since the very first trailer, a lot of this has to do with scale, and I think we've seen already that even though these tiles, and I don't know why you always do the math portion of this show when I'm on here, but when you look at these tiles and stuff and you compare building sizes, it's gonna feel different too, in the aspect that these buildings have much larger footprints, and we've seen on the in the dev diaries and all the latest trailers out there and stuff that the buildings a module be added to and things like that, they only get bigger. So I think a lot of that scale is going to come into place where, even though the map itself is, as you said, it's technically going to be bigger because you've got all these tiles that are not accounted for that hopefully a modder unlocks for us. There is a lot of dynamics there, I think, with just how everything is going to feel, and you're really just not going to see that until you've got your hands on this game and you can just play it and see exactly what that feeling is going to be. I think just looking at those maps and in comparison and the numerous videos out there, they seem big enough. And how many of us have filled up the entire map on City Skylines 1?
Yeah.
Very few. And if you're doing it, you're just trying to get a like on the City Skylines Facebook page, right? So
Basically, yes.
so it's tough to fill up a map, but people just they like to complain, I think. Don't we all? Don't we all?
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. I'm going to have a little, well, it's not a complaint, but it's something that's different, and something that is different that we are, especially in the map making community, going to have to get our heads around and just either suck it up or just adapt. And that is themes. So themes are now different. We know that now. Themes are going to be relating to building types or road markings or surface vehicle types and so on. And the two that we're going to be leading with are North American and European. Maybe DLC will bring in more themes as we come further along. So I'm thinking maybe Japanese and Mexican, possibly maybe North African. What are your thoughts? Which themes would you be most excited for?
I think you could do easily, and kind of a hint from the first game is a Japanese theme would be really cool. Those are fun cities to build. You of course could have so many assets added onto that, so many opportunities to do some really cool looking stuff. So that would be obviously, I think, a good one. And also, just because we have these two core themes doesn't mean that those can branch out and doesn't mean that those cannot branch out to other themes inside of the same theme. So North America is what? Mexico, Canada, United States. You got 3 different dynamics there when it comes to architecture. So there's a lot of possibilities there. It'll be interesting to see where they go.
Absolutely, yeah. Of course, there's one other theme that I'd be very interested in. That might be a UK theme, but they'll never do it. Anyway, maybe they will. Right, anyway, so of course, with the themes now relating to roads, markings, and service vehicles, etc., it means that what we used to call a theme, thus that being the terrain textures and everything tied in with that, that seems to have gone out the window. And looking at the screenshots and the thumbnails of the maps that we're getting with the base game, they all seem to have the same theme, which will mean that I think a lot of the maps might have a feeling of being consistently samey. Personally, I'm subscribed to almost 300 themes for Cities Skylines 1. That excludes theme mixes, and I know that each one brings a different character in the map. So as a city builder, not so much a map maker, do terrain themes actually interest you? Do they bother you? Or would you not even notice as long as the base game is as good as it looks as it might be?
I mean, yeah, 300 themes. Wow, I didn't even realize there's that many. Yeah, well, it is nice mixing. I mean, of course, we're going to have to see what mods come out if we get a theme mixer type thing for this game in some form or fashion down the road. I mean, there are some variants in the maps as far as terrain heights and things like that add a little bit of that, where you get a little bit more rockiness with some mountains and stuff. But I would like to see a little bit more themes. I mean, we haven't seen any palm trees, right? There hasn't been a single palm tree, which you would think that's probably going to be a DLC possibly or something like that. But yeah, that doesn't really. I see what you're saying. You could see a lot of similarities in each one of those maps.
Yeah. It's just I say as a map maker, as a map making channel, it's the thing that stands out for me. A lot of the maps, the differences between the maps will be the shapes of the terrain and the waterfronts, and so a lot of them may end up, like I say, just feeling much of a muchness. One thing that could be a big variety for Colossal Order, though, is if we have a look at the name City Skylines, it's actually punctuated with a colon. Cities, Skylines. 2 separate things, which seems to suggest that we may actually be heading into a franchise at some point. Now, we've already had the immersive headset version, Cities VR. We have Cities Skylines. We'll have Cities Skylines 2. But so far, those are the only variants that we've got. I have my own ideas, but what about you? What direction, serious or otherwise, could they evolve a Cities franchise?
Oh, you're gonna start with me. Okay,
Oh,
I
well,
see how it
how
goes.
about you do one? I'll do one.
Oh, okay. Well, I have I've got cities population. So this is basically going to be like a game that is straight up text along the lines of like Football Manager. You're not actually playing game. You're not really seeing the graphical portions. It's more of just like an Excel file right there in front of you.
Oh, wow, that's really
Hmm.
cool. Well, I've gone.
Not really.
Yeah. I kind of gone the other way. City Skylines suggests that you're building upwards. How about City Sewers? One where you're building deliberately downwards.
You're not going to believe this. My next one is City Sewers.
No way!
This game focuses on sewage treatment, and you use mods so you can like do the three-dimensional travel along the sewers like on Ghostbusters 2.
Oh, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
There you go.
Indeed. Well, as go on. You can have another. You can have another one. Go on.
Oh, sure. I have one here. This one's called Cities Melting. So this is a game where the heat constantly goes up. It's a survival city builder. Due to climate change, you have to balance basically air conditioning budgets and things of that nature.
All right. Well, if we're going to do survival, how about uh, I've got two down that path. Jurassic Cities. Inspired by a 1980s UK TV commercial for a chewy sweet, dinosaurs eat your buildings, and you have to keep building new buildings, providing them with food.
Oh, what about Cities Florida? This would be like a theme park manager slash city game where the object is to avoid regulations put in place by Ron DeSantis.
Oh wow! Yeah, that would be and occasional hurricanes thrown in as with natural disasters. Yeah.
There you go.
Right. Cities aftermath. So we have a perfectly pristine city, but nobody in it, and then you have to use nature to reclaim the city.
Oh, well, I see that, and I'll raise you Cities Triple X, and this is a Cities version where it's basically a photo taking game, and you get more points and stuff for taking like really provocative, like under a bridge photo, things of that nature.
Oh, the upskirt of a bridge. You
Yeah, there you
devil.
go.
Oh, look at those structures. Lovely. Uh, okay, this now I've got a couple of my next two are fairly serious, more serious than we've seen so far. I'm
Uh-huh.
thinking this is the one that maybe is most viable. Cities Retro, which would be a 3D isometric builder, something in the style of SimCity 2000. So making it free to play, and whenever you complete a milestone, you get shown an ad for City Skylines 2. Or maybe pay microtransactions to remove the ads. So therefore, somebody can do a city builder on a dated game, should be fairly easy to put together, says he, with no coding skills. And then you get your ads shown for your Pièce de Resistance game.
Yeah, that's not bad. That's not bad. What's your other serious one?
The other one, Cities Nation. This one would be kind of somewhere between City Skylines and a civilization game, but without the warfare, where you are placing down the cities, but instead of developing the city by street, you're putting down entire districts and then helping each district will help each other. You can do intercity connections, and so basically, yeah. If you're into civilization but don't like the warfare, then something like that. It might look a little bit more like what's that other Paradox game? Crusader Kings. It'd probably look a bit more like
Yep.
Crusader Kings, I think.
Yeah, well, that makes sense. I have a few possible DLCs here, Bon.
Oh, please go.
Um,
Yeah.
yes, one is going to be called God Mode, famous IDDQD for you Doom players out there. Uh, this is a real-time strategy game where you actually not only can you be destroyed by the usual natural disasters, but you can be destroyed by God in biblical proportions. Um, the other DLC idea is called Cities Around Me, and that's where you're just basically setting, it's like a window sill, and you're just looking out the window and you're thinking, man, there are so many great cities close to mine that are much better than mine.
I really like that.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
really, really like that. I mean, maybe even some way of loading somebody else's city in City Skylines too
Oh, yeah.
from your office desk within your city of City Skylines too. That's a
Right. That's a
pretty
great idea.
neat idea.
I could have like $2.20 city over here on the other monitor as I build my crappy looking one.
Oh, that wow! Your cities aren't crappy. Okay,
Oh,
they're
thank
not
you.
crappy. I mean, $2
I'm
20.
blushing.
He's kind of average, isn't he? So yeah,
Pocket
you
change.
kind of scrub up okay against him. Certainly puts
I
me to
definitely
shame.
scrub. Thank you.
Scrubbity scrubs. Right. Well, I mean, we're a little early, so I mean, we can't quite end yet. So I'm going to do a little self plug. I'll give you a chance as well, if it, in a moment for yourself, if you've
Oh,
got
sure.
anything you want to do. But I've just started doing a final map build. It's a fantastical style map build, lots of waterfronts, etc. I'm doing it as live streams, so if you're subscribed to the channel, keep your eye open, see if I'm actually live at any given time, and yeah, I'm going to try and get it finished over the next 4 to 6 weeks. Just have a bit of fun with that one, and of course, starting the end of next week, we'll be doing the big 81 player collaboration. I really would like for you guys to get involved if you're still watching this right now and you want to do some sort of city build, just for a bit of fun. Yeah, watch out for that one. Have you got anything coming up for us, or anything for the later on in the year?
I do have one idea that's a City Skylines 2 thing that nobody has talked about. I'm not going to spoil it, but I'm going to start working on it soon.
Sounds really, really good indeed. Well, anyway, that's it. If you'd like to say bye-bye, let's get that out of the way now.
Bye-bye, everybody. Thanks for
And,
watching.
yeah, thanks. And hit the like button. You know what to do, don't you? Thanks for watching.
Yeah.